Let's take you back to Soweto now, and that's where investigations are underway after the death of a 10-year-old boy. Tshepo Moloi drowned after falling into an open manhole in a Joburg Water construction site. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlabla following that story for us. Ziniko, good morning to you. Once again, apologies a little earlier. There was interference on your microphone. Let's pick up on where Joburg Water says is the problem, I think, particularly as it regards to closing these manholes.
Well, Xoli, I can tell you right now, since 2022, there's been a lot of movements from the city of Johannesburg in terms of trying to close as many manholes as possible. But whether they've been doing that at the right pace is another question, which I think we'll have an opportunity to pose to them, whether they're doing enough to not just maybe close these manholes, but create awareness, especially amongst local communities such as Mhlabla here in Soweto, where the city has some operations through its different contractors across Soweto. Remember that there was a young boy as well, Xoli, who fell into his death in a manhole here in Soweto, actually not far from where we are. So that question of whether the city is moving at the right pace, there's enough messaging or communication towards local authorities so that they get to conscientize communities about the dangers of these manholes, but also the issue of making sure that the parameters they set up to protect these parameters are not movable things, especially are not issues that can actually be quickly or simply or easier removed by a young person. Because we're talking about a 10-year-old here who's still at primary school. So we came through here in the morning. Only we understand the family is still doing some administration work, try to make sure that the paperwork for the death of this 10-year-old is actually in order. We understand that they've gone to the local police station, but also from there they'll be heading to the local school where this young boy is attending school. So the local councillor is here, Mr. Chisanga, who's been with the family. Also, he was at the home, a family home this morning. So let's speak to him to get a sense of how the community is feeling, but also what's the situation, what's the state of that particular family. Mr. Chisanga, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Give us a sense of how the situation is, especially from the family's perspective. Banjani.
The family is saddened, and they're basically hurt by the occurrence where their 10-year-old son passed on, obviously, in a situation where there was a construction site. And it's obviously even the community itself is still confused, and they still want to figure out what could have actually happened for the young person to have died in such a situation. So as we have known from the authorities is that Joburg Water and the Department of Labour and obviously the SAPS were investigating this matter to actually come to the bottom of this whole matter so that it can come to conclusion, so that if there are if the culprits can actually be able to answer to this matter. That's what we want. And the family is actually besides themselves. They're heavy at heart.
Will you talk to us about the level of awareness community members have about the dangers of places like this, where the city of Johannesburg or any entity is working, and you've got dangerous sites such as this one? Do you think enough has been done by the entities themselves, but also are the communities aware about these dangers?
It will never be enough at any point that you can say it is enough, because we need to keep these places secured at all points in time. Even if it means we get security guards that are there to actually make sure that young people don't come, because you've been young before, if a pond of water is left there, you are going to go there and swim. As much as we know that we've been consulting even with the school where the principal was saying they had a workshop of with the swimming people who have been dealing with ponds, and people that were telling them about areas where not to swim and where to swim, not to swim. And the contractors also said that they've also went into schools to actually educate, but that will not be enough, because we have lost a very young life, a life that we could have seen become a leader, could have become a doctor or could become an engineer. But the young person has perished because of such recklessness, that we will need to come to the bottom of this.
I mean, this community is just next to a wetland, if I put it that way. There's a stream that's flowing all the way from Mhlabla, Orlando, passes through Mfulo towards Protea Glen. So incidents such as this are bound to happen. So what do you think needs to happen here as a local councillor to make sure that this place is fenced off from the community?
Hence, we have been saying that the way educational programs that we put into the schools to make sure that young people are made aware of such streams. Obviously, with also putting fences and other things, that is something that we need to actually look into and make sure that it is implemented, and the authority that the Department of Environment is consulted, because with the environmentalists, sometimes they don't want areas to be tampered with. That would also be something that we must come on the table and make sure that everybody who is involved must come and play their role so that we protect our kids, our young ones.
Okay. Lastly, Mr. Chisanga, what's been the attitude of the City of Johannesburg towards making sure engaging with the family? Are you aware of any possible engagements that are taking place?
Well, with Joburg Water has been engaging with the family. The department, the RD's office has also been talking to the family, and we have also been here with the family from Monday. And obviously, with every stakeholders, we've made sure that they come and actually start working together with the family, and we've actually made sure that we are together as we put the young person to rest, and we have a dignified funeral.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chisanga, for your time, sir.
Thank you.
That's Mr. Chisanga Xoli, who's a ward councillor here in Mfulo, especially in this particular community where this particular incident took place. As I had said, Xoli, that actually this community, or the edge of this community, is just along a wetland, and it's a wetland that is streaming all the way, if you're familiar with Soweto, from North Gasek, from Mhlabla, cuts through Soweto, and it flows down up until you get to Johannesburg South. That's where you'll get to Protea Glen. So it's not surprising that such incidents do take place. Maybe it will be another conversation to ask the City of Johannesburg or any local authority responsible for making sure that these places are protected and that young people do not get to access this, because it's very, very dangerous. Besides the manhole, a young person might have fallen into the actual stream itself. So that's the situation, but we'll try to get these answers from authorities. We'll also try to speak to the emergency services to get a sense of how are they dealing with these incidents and how often do they occur, and if they are happy with the pace which has been, which the City of Johannesburg has been moving by to ensure that they close these manholes. But towards the afternoon, we'll also try to get the family itself to get a sense of how they are doing. So that's it for now, only from us here in Mfulo in Soweto.
Ziniko Mhlabla, thank you very much indeed. A very painful story this. Yet again, another child has died as a result of manholes not being closed.